right, so here we are ready to work on our 8-inch balsa plane. This is a modeling project that you will be doing in the classroom of room 103 while your teacher's on the opposite side of the wall of windows in the wood shop with those students, which obviously requires that teacher's attention more than this. So you're pretty much going to be working independently. We have some things to help you, though. Certainly this video is one of them. I've got these sets of instructions that you can take to your desk. The instructions are also posted. Basically, this document, or a kind of a Google slideshow version of it, are on the web page. And there's also, I'll add later, a photograph of what I like to call the project board, or sometimes I even call it the cheat sheet, because we have hanging on the wall every step of the way an example of what this plane should look like at each step, every step of the way. So you can actually take your piece over to it and compare your work with the actual item, rather than just seeing a photograph or reading words that describe it. Also, usually keep around an example plane or two. So if your plane doesn't look like this one, then you probably made a mistake somewhere. So, if you're working on your wing, you can look at this wing. If you're working on your rudder or your tail piece, your elevator here, your body, whatever, you can look at this example, and that should give you a pretty good idea. So I'm trying to give you as many resources as possible for you to be successful without you running in the wood shop every 5 minutes and going, Mr. Pat, is this right? Mr. Pat, is this right? Because I'm just going to tell you to go away. I'm helping the kids with power tools. All right. So the first thing is you're going to get 4 pieces of balsa, a big one about half that size, and then 2 long, skinny ones. And so here are those pieces of balsa. If you don't know anything about balsa wood, it's super lightweight and it's super soft, which makes it great for building models. It's actually quite strong for how light it is, okay? What's beautiful about it being nice and soft like that is that we don't need to use power tools or even sharp things like X-Acto knives or razor blades to cut it. We can use other items to shape and form the pieces of our balsa plane. All right, so if we turn the page, and again, you will receive 4 pieces of balsa, 1 8-inch by 3-inch, 1 4 by 3-inch, and 2 1/2-inch by 8-inch, which are these long, skinny guys here. Okay. So this first instruction says measure down 1 1/2 inches from the top edge and make a line in pencil. Now, when you're going to make a line, you need 2 dots to connect. Now it says measure 1 1/2 inches down. Of course, the 1 1/2-inch mark. By the way, this is 3, and half of 3 is 1 1/2. So if I was just to look and go, it's about halfway, that would make sense to me. Also, 1 and 2, halfway between 1 and 2 is this tall mark here. That's my 1 1/2-inch mark. So somewhere over maybe on this side, I'll make a dot for my 1 1/2-inch mark. And then somewhere over here, maybe on this side, I'll make another dot at 1 1/2 inches. And then I'll go and connect the dots. Now, when I connect these dots, it's really important that I hold my ruler with 2 points of contact. By that, I mean I'm going to make like a little L with my finger and thumb and hold it down like this. If I just hold it with 1 finger, you see how that pivots and slides around? So if I hold it with 2 fingers, it's much steadier. And I'm kind of pushing my pencil against the edge of this ruler here to make this line. Oh, dagnabbit, my pencil broke. Oh, that's so distressing. Okay, well, we're going to have to pause this video for a minute while I get a fresh pencil or sharpen it. By the way, notice that I'm doing this with a good old-fashioned wooden pencil, not one of those clicky ones. I have those here, but the lead is so skinny and wimpy that it would break right off if I was trying to draw on this wood. So here's a nice sharp pencil. I'm holding my ruler against my 2 points with my fingers apart. You can either make that L or do what I'm doing now with my fingers spread apart like that. I'll draw that nice and dark. And again, just kind of looking at it, guys, it looks like it's halfway. And if I measure, that's about 1.5 inches. That's about 1.5 inches. That's pretty good. Oh, by the way, it kind of looks like my drawing. I know this isn't exactly life size, but it's pretty close. It kind of makes me feel a little better that I'm close. I could actually walk this piece of balsa over to my project board and compare it to that example that's over there, and maybe later on in this video I'll show you how that works. But that project board is there as an example for you to use to make sure you're doing things correctly. Okay. Now it says then measure down 1 inch from that line and draw another line. So I've got to draw this line here, this second line. I've got the center one here. I need to do this guy. So measure down 1 inch. By the way, inches, centimeters, right? Inches are the bigger ones here. We've got a ruler that shows both units. So 1 is pretty easy to spot on the ruler. And if I connect these dots, draw myself a nice straight line. Hey, kind of looks like that, doesn't it? Again, it's not exactly life size, but if I were to walk this over to my project board and hold it right up to it, I bet that it would look just about right, okay? So now it says use a sharp pencil and draw over the lines repeatedly to cut through the balsa. What? You're going to cut through the balsa with a pencil? That's how soft my balsa is. So I'm going to take my ruler and continue to use my ruler to guide my pencil tip as I draw this line over and over again. Now, I'm not going to be able to get through it all in one try. But if every time I push down a little bit harder, now, by the way, if you push down too hard, you're going to end up with, breaking your pencil tip again and go back to the pencil sharpener. You might notice, too, or some of you might be able to see that there's these little wood fibers coming out here that I'm kind of forcing the wood or pulling the wood out of this piece of balsa. And I'm basically... what's this, my 6th, 7th time I've done this line? 7th, 8th line. Not trying to push through all at once, but pretty quickly I've divided it in two. Now I've also drawn on my desk. You want to erase that if you're sitting at a desk. You don't want to make a big mess everywhere, but yes, I just cut through that piece of wood with a pencil. Didn't need an X-Acto knife. Didn't need anything made out of metal. Just a plain old pencil lead that's relatively sharp. And a little bit of patience, because again, you need to do this a number of times. So I'll do it over here as well. And you can see these little chips of, I kind of call it fur. It kind of looks like almost like fibers, like you'd get in dryer lint or something. Okay, there we go. So now I've got these 3 pieces. I'm going to erase my mess here so I don't get yelled at by the teacher for drawing all over the desk. I'll get rid of that a little bit better later. Okay, so now I've got this piece. I've got this piece. And I've got this piece. And if I stack these 3 pieces together, here I'm going to show it to you kind of from the side. Get in front of the camera. It kind of looks like a set of steps. Look at that. And it also kind of looks like my airplane wing. It's not quite there yet, but you can see that that airplane wing is fatter towards the front and skinnier towards the back. So I'm going to turn this into this, all right? Now you can tell this is all, in fact, if you look closely here, you can kind of see how there's glue lines there, that this is actually 3 layers of wood glued together. You can see that. So this is my 3 layers of wood. I'm basically going to go over to the gluing area, not at a desk. There are special areas over on the counters that are laid down either with wax paper or rubber mats. So if you make a mess with the glue, it's not a disaster. By the way, if you do make a mess with glue, you should wipe it up with a wet paper towel right away. Okay. If you get glue on your fingers, not the end of the world. Just wash your hands with soap and water. Try not to get it on your clothes. Certainly, if you do, sometimes we can rinse it off. Sometimes you just have glue on your clothes. All right. So neatness does count, and you want to be neat as you're doing this. All right. But I've got these 3 pieces here, and I've got these 2 pieces here. And I'm going to basically make what I like to call a glue sandwich, because I make everything about food, is I'm going to squirt some glue here, and then I'm going to squeeze these pieces together and put some tape around them to hold it together while the glue dries. All right? So that's kind of the second step in this project. But the first step is to cut these things. By the way, super important that as you're going along, you continue to write your first and last name on all your pieces of balsa, because if you don't, there's a very good chance they'll end up in the garbage, because we have so many people working on these same projects. If you don't put your first and last name on it, it will get thrown out. And then your teacher might even laugh maniacally at you, like, Dr. Doofenshmirtz or something. And yeah, it's just your responsibility to make sure your first and last name are on everything, so that you don't lose your work. All right. So I'll show you the gluing step in just a minute.